Good morning, good afternoon to everyone who is interested today in investing in Polish ICT market. My name is Eva Lisierzak, I represent IDC, and I'm honored to welcome 5 great guests who will be discussing the new topic, software, e-games and e-sport as the national goods of the 21st century. So I would like to welcome Mr. Grzegorz Słomkowski from the Polish Investment and Trade Agency, who is joining us today from Dubai. Mr. Paweł Kowalczyk, the President of Board of the Polish eSport. Artur Wiza, the Vice President of ASECO Poland.
Hello.
Bartosz Majewski, President of Software Development Association Poland.
Hello.
And Jakub Marszałkowski, Foundation India Games Poland. So today we generally are talking about the growing digital economy that accelerated massively during the pandemic times. What we learned during pandemic, that the new normal that will appear after pandemic will be different. We didn't know what to expect. Today we understand much better from the events that have started yesterday in Ukraine that this new normal will be full of so-called black swans. Black swans means events that are unexpected, unpredicted, and will massively change the world we are living in. What it means for business, what it means for societies, for governments, is that we are operating in a very intense and rapidly changing world, which means we have to adopt. Digital economy is about adoption. Digital economy is about changing. But the topic today is the Polish ICT market. According to ICT data that we recently measured, so in IDC, the preliminary data show that the growth in 2021 of a Polish IT spending was 12%. As I said, this is preliminary, but this growth is massive. Another interesting number to remember is that digital economy's growth is 4 times bigger and faster than traditional economy. So let's focus now on what Polish market has to offer and what differentiates us and makes interesting for potential investors. Mr. Słomkowski, if you could elaborate on that, please.
This topic has been touched during the previous debates. Everyone practically pointed out at one reason. We have pool of very well-skilled people in the ICT industry. I always mention to our investors that we have over 500 developers, programmers, and people working in the ICT industry, but not only pure ICT, but also so-called STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and math. So this is what makes us different in various rankings. And as I mentioned, rankings, we are also very top positions as regards skills of our people in the ICT industry. We have top coders ranking very high. We have very high position in hackers rank. And what differentiates Polish specialists is not only deep knowledge in very well known languages like Python, Java, JavaScript, but also in languages like COBOL. This is basically what differentiates us and makes advantage for investors to be in Poland.
Right, and again, as it's still difficult to compete in the global economy, ASECO Poland is a great example of the company that ranks amongst the biggest, but also that was able to expand. There are 60 offices across the whole globe, right, that you established. Artur?
We are working in 60 countries, and what is great, we started from Rzeszów, close to Ukraine border, and it was a startup 30 years ago. Just one person, Adam Gural, and 2 programmers started with him. Today we have 30,000 people working for us around the world, and we have almost 2 billion euro revenue. which shows that in 30 years we grow from the nothing to really we are today the sixth largest software producer in Europe. And I like what you said about the Polish programmers and that we are great at programming. And every time when I meet with people, they ask me why you are so good in programming and why you focused on software. And there are a few different reasons why is that, but one of that I always say that if you look at the historic time that the mathematics were really a great background for Polish universities like in Warsaw, Wrocław, or at the beginning from Lwów, then it started from the great mathematics, and then we have a really great prepared people for learning programmers languages and to be a part of development of software. Also, why we focused on software as ASECO? Because we believed that we need to have some niche, because if you look at the database, all the software products for like offices are made in states, in different countries, we thought that we need to have something that will be closer to our business, and we focus on a software for business, and we develop like ERP systems, billing systems. We are preparing a software for hospitals, software for public administration, and all those areas where we can deliver added value for our customers. Today, ASECO, 90% of our revenue comes abroad. We merge all the facilities that we have not only in Poland but also in local countries like Slovakia, like Czechia, or Balkans. But still, we believe that Poland is a great place to really grow all the R&D things, because we have well-prepared engineers. And for example, right now we have a great product that we export, and when we go to our foreign customers, for example, in Germany, and we showed what we did in a banking sector, for example, they see that we are like ahead like 5 years in terms of what we delivered for the Polish banking sector, because we are in different phase because of the central systems that we developed a few years ago. And that's why we believe that Poland is really a great country for programmers, for developing software, for developing everything which is connected with the modern ICT.
Thank you. Talking about these skills, I found an interesting report, hacker report, that says that Polish programmers are described as tenacious, and we are number 3 in the category "which country never gives up." So it's not only the education, but it's also some soft skills on the approach, something unique that we can talk about. Would you like to add something to this from your perspective?
Krzysztof, thank you. Maybe I can tell a little bit background in terms of the association we created and how basically we see this as a let's say as a result of what's happening in terms of our engineering capabilities in Poland. I think as an association we are gathering more than 170 companies with around 4 billion zloty revenue. It's around 30,000 engineers. So I guess our organization is a similar size like the whole ASECO, which is funny because most of the companies that are there within our organization, I think I can easily say that 90% are also serving clients that are abroad. And I think it's not a coincidence. I think it is all because our engineering capabilities are just phenomenal. And there are a couple of reasons why. I think you've mentioned, Artur, about the mathematical background. We've got more than 500 universities here in Poland that actually is preparing our future engineers with the proper background. But also, I have to stress out that the software companies we have here in Poland, and amongst them, a lot of companies that are in Software Development Association, are very much heavily investing in those young talents and helping them actually be prepared for those roles from the commercial perspective and from the engineering capabilities perspective. But also the hardship we went through when it comes to our political experiences has made us, Poles, to be able to tackle problems that other things are basically untackleable, unsolvable. And that's kind of Polish mentality. People really want to, stress out that there isn't a thing like engineering problem that is not able to be solved. And I think that's our mentality deep there. And I think this is something that we should be proud of as a very much impressive Polish asset of those engineering capabilities.
So American out of box is a Polish out of box.
Think so.
We talk about software. It used to be in a box. Okay, so
Definitely thinking outside of the box.
Talking about software, we have to mention one very interesting niche. And however great brands we have created in Poland, still, I think that global players and especially younger audience will resonate very quickly if we say CD Projekt. So what made Polish gaming industry so unique? Why Polish gaming industry somehow was able to really stand out on the global market? And for this, I would like to ask Jakub Marszałkowski.
Yes, definitely. Witcher is one of the biggest Polish ambassadors we have. It's a globally renowned game, globally renowned brand, and it's doing a lot of great stuff for Poland. But the industry is not only CD Projekt Red, it's over 470 studios developing games in Poland, developing them for exports. All Polish games are achieving globally. That's the only way of doing games. And revenue stream, 97% of the revenues of the industry comes from exports. We are on all platforms. We are on all markets, from Seattle, from United States to Japan. We have some companies that specialize in some particular market, Japanese market, for example, but most of the companies is trying to achieve everywhere. I think part of the success is that we want to make great games, that we want to have great IPs, great stories, show interesting worlds, and bring joy, bring fun to gamers all around the world. Another part of the success is definitely the immense growth of the industry, the growth that brought us to over 12,000 people working in game development in Poland right now, which gives, in terms of workforce size, seventh place to our game industry globally. Also, if we look at exports, we are definitely in top 10 game exporters globally. We are one of few net game exporters, so we export more games than we import games for our markets. And there are many other interesting factors here that I could also mention, but I will maybe move a little back to this the workforce. It's 12,000 people, growing 25% year over year. Even last 2 years, when we were quite sure this has to slow down, the growth kept this pace. We brought over 1,000 people from abroad to work in Polish game industry, obviously from our neighbors, Ukraine, but also from other countries. Polish game industry is able to attract employees from Western countries as well. This workforce is also quite diverse. 25% of people working in game development in Poland are females, and we're doing great game releases. Last month, Dying Light 2, and in 4 days we are waiting. We have our fingers crossed for Shadow Warrior 3, maybe another big Polish title global premiere.
But talking about gaming, this product has something more in it. As you said in our previous conversations, it's the biggest exporting product in terms of culture.
Yes, well, it's culture definitely. We can see it on many ways. We can see it in the terms of who is producing games. Programmers are maybe one third, maybe one fourth of this. You have different kinds of artists that prepare visual arts, that are writing stories, creating characters, and all that definitely has a lot of Polish culture in it. Even if we talk about titles like Dying Light, for examples, you can see parts. Well, it's fighting zombies in futuristic apocalyptic world, but you can find some elements of Polish culture on every corner of these games. Yes, games are definitely our important, maybe biggest Polish cultural exports. We have in last 7 or 8 years, we have 19, well, now 12, now 20 Polish game titles that sold more than 1 million copies globally. That's huge cultural reach.
Right, to summarize, so Poland is one of the biggest exporters globally of games. It has this aspect of cultural export, which is pretty interesting, but it also has another aspect, the ability to create new communities that actually promote country. And for this, we can talk about esport. So how does esport really is enabling, promoting countries? And if you could give some examples, what are the audiences we actually talk about when we talk about esport? And for this, I would like to ask Paweł.
I think that we should start from that point that esports is very similar to the traditional sports. Like let's think about esport like on traditional sport like a football or basketball, because there is huge similarities in many
Different muscles.
Yes, but similarities are really huge. So yes, in esport we've got a huge community for a lot of people, young generation, for whom esport and gaming is the most important part of their lives right now, because the access for the gaming, access for the esport is really easy, and it doesn't matter if weather is good or bad, it's night or it's the morning, it doesn't matter, they can enjoy and spend time with that. So we've got a huge community here in Poland. We've got a lot of products we've connected with that, because we've got leagues, we've got organization, clubs, and events in which there is huge number of people who want to spend time exactly there. So
example of numbers in Katowice, I think it would impress
everyone. In Katowice today because this weekend Intel Extreme Master took place in Katowice, and there will be thousands of people who will join to that event and will spend free time there. And in the global area, because of course esport is in internet, there is millions of people who see Katowice as a place in which took place the biggest esport event in the world. So there is an easy access in which we can start from amateur or semi-amateur gamer and start the career in which for a really small, maybe not small, but for the months, we can create someone who is the world champion, and we've got that kind of examples last year in game title called Valorant, in which 2 Polish players became a world champion, and this is also very important because millions of people see that in Poland we've got a great players, and this is a great place to start the career. So we've got events, we've got leagues, we've got a lot of products in which we've got a lot of events in many cities, because for example last year in Gdańsk we created first time in esport history an esport event, professional esport event directly on the beach. So we've got a great example in which we can share that kind of ideas and photos for the world, that there is no barrier. So to summarize, I think that when we think about the esport and when we think in what way we can create stars and products which are visible in the world, I can compare this with the traditional sports, and this is a huge chance for us, because in that market the access to become a star and be visible on the world is really easy, because this is internet. There is no physical barrier.
Right. So we can hear that out of all the new technologies and new areas, somehow software, including games, stand out as for something very specific for Poland, very successful, very different. It's so different and successful, as we could hear, because of the competences that we have here in Poland, again, for various reasons that were already named. Mr. Słomkowski, one question for you. What do we do to retain these talents in Poland, and how do we make sure as a country that we still attract them here or bring new?
It's very difficult because it's a very competitive market, and of course salaries abroad are very competitive. But of course we try to create a user-friendly environment and ecosystem for the IT specialists. Using various tools. I can give an example of IP Box, which encourage a lot of investors to come to Poland. This is 5% only on sales of property right-based sales. So this is an example. Another I can mention program which was already discussed in the previous panels. I mean, Poland Business Harbor. We introduced this program in September 2019. And using this program, we managed to reallocate more than 20,000 programmers with their families from Belarus to Poland. And of course, we made this program working also in other former Russian republics like Ukraine, Georgia, and other countries. It of course it has a special meaning today when we have war abroad. So we can expect that a lot of people will just remove from risky parts of Europe to Poland.
Thank you. I would like to add something for that, because this is the financial part of that. But I would add one very important thing: products. That we do, and we prepare products, not only services, and that's important. That we can give for people coming to Poland to work on a nice products. Those are games. Those are the software for businesses. But it's important that those people can work on something that we can then sell around the world.
Right, and when we talk about actually workforce, it's a crucial part and crucial challenge in the digital economy. According if I refer to IDC data, but in 2022, there will be demand on 11.2 million experts in IT in Europe. And the supply is 8. So the gap is still huge. Therefore, investing in education, investing in training is a massive differentiator. And if we want to win in this digital economy, definitely it's about humans, it's about IT experts, IT specialists that create this value. What else would you name as really important to keep an eye on when we think about living and competing in this digital economy? Artures, if you could.
Yes. There is no question that digitalization is if. This is how and how fast we can do, and we still develop and we bring a lot of people to our companies because of preparing something that we can export. And financial thing is important, but now the market is so open that people can work here in Poland for the international companies in States, UK. But still, if they will when they can engage in a games, when they can engage in a project that we mentioned during our discussion, that it's something that people will want to work because we are developing something that we are famous of. And I believe that preparing a good products, a good promotion of what we prepare in Poland will be a great advantage for those people that can come here and to work together with us.
I think, if I may say, we live in a global economy. and by living in global economy, we are not limited to working from offices. A lot of companies from our organization are implementing not only hybrid setups where people are actually able to work majority from homes, but also from offices, but also are enabling so-called nomad lifestyle, where people can go to Bali or India or wherever they actually, prefer to go, and be still part of the Polish ICT ecosystem, yet not be in Poland, but be somewhere else. And big part of it is basically creating a supportive ecosystem. And I think, Eva, you mentioned what are the aspects that we can actually do to help those talents remain and grow with us. I think investing more in basically the environment to help them grow as future leaders, architects, and basically people that have got impact not only on services that we provide, but as Artur mentioned, the products we build, because those are very much crucial part of our Polish ecosystem. And there's more and more global brands that are rolling out from basically Polish, engineering capabilities, and a natural part of a software company is quite often a product spin-off. And this is how those great ideas are being born. So I think investing in talent, making sure we are enabling people to grow and to be flexible while enabling them to invest in also the local product. I think those are the keys.
Right. Paweł, would you like to add?
I absolutely agree, because I truly believe that if we will create a space for people in which they can work for a product and create products they are proud of, and there is a mix of work and also passion, this is the key for that. And I think that Cyberpunk is, for example, this is the example. The people wanted to create something which is unique, and they created that here in Poland. And this the same story we've got in the esport. We are creating products, we are creating brands, and people are really proud of that they can create that kind of products with us. And this is the key for the future.
Yeah.
Yes,
Success of CD Projekt, success of ASECO, this is something that people can see that we can achieve a lot in Poland.
Exactly.
Hard to add anything, but maybe Jakub, you could try.
Well, games are way beyond digitalization. Our games are available globally for many years, and you can play them everywhere. We have slightly different challenge that would be probably discoverability. Polish game industry alone is doing 600 game releases a year. That's a lot. If you add other game producers from all around the world, it's a very dense market packed with titles, packed with products, packed with brands. And we need to make our games seen. Indie Games Poland, as industry organization, is working on that. In next 2 months, we are taking Polish developers to United States twice, for example. But we will also be in Dubai, in Poland Pavilion on the World Expo. Next week, on the 1st March, exhibition of Polish games start, and everyone interested is well invited to come and see some Polish games. And we'll also have another panel with 4 specialists from the game industry on the March 2nd that I would love to invite our audience to.
Thank you. And of course, Mr. Słomkowski, if you could summarize in total how you see these perspectives for investors in Poland and what should attract them.
I can add as an agency, we support Polish gaming system, as was mentioned during the Dubai Expo, but also during various events that we organize worldwide, not only in the States, but also in Singapore, in various places in the world. I think it can give a boost to Polish ICT sector, and that can much better work in international environment. That's our role, and I think that we try to do our best to support this.
And we would like to thank you for this support, because we are working with your agency around the world, and that's great support for not only for ASECO, but also for other companies.
So to summarize, again, digital economy and any economy is about collaboration, about support, about trust. And with this, I would like to thank all of you for participating in today's debate. Thank you to all my great panelists, and thank you all for listening to us. I hope that you found some inspiration and we were able to convince you about the uniqueness and specialization of the Polish ICT industry. Goodbye.